They don't teach you at YC. Things that they don't teach you at Y Combinator. YC is basically Harvard and Princeton if it were an incubator accelerator. Y Combinator is so grad school like, where it's a bunch of people who are playing and doing and executing entrepreneurship in a club slash secret society that's trying to impress other members of Y Combinator. They're not trying to win and avoid bankruptcy. At the heart, it's impressing other YC classmates and being competitive class to class. Oh, I'm spring 2013. Oh, welcome winter 2022, if that's even a class. I'm sure it is. And saying, oh, well, this is how we did it back in summer 2011. And then saying outlandishly to impress other YC futures and potentials, Y Combinator is the most interesting thing that you'll do ever in your life. What? What? You know who talks like this? People who go to their safety college to go get their PhD. That's who talks like that. Literally. They're kind of angry that they had to go to their safety school, their safety Ivy, for their PhD, because the school that they really wanted to go to didn't accept them. The school that they went to for undergrad didn't want to keep them as a grad, right? Because look at how proud members are in trying to be proud of companies that other people have never heard of in an incubator that also people have never heard of. True story. It's also true, I'm gonna have to admit, Y Combinator is absolutely an institution of Silicon Valley. And so as the competing institution of Silicon Valley, not representing Stanford, I'm representing the third institution of Silicon Valley, Larry Chang. And if that rubs you incorrectly, well, hold on to your butts, because this is shiitake that YC refuses to teach you. Listen intrinsically to a YC alum speak. Tiptoeing around distribution. Because what YC refuses to teach and hone in on at its heart is what every Ivy Leaguer's Achilles heel is, which is, hey, you're not obviously, kind of obviously pretending to play smart, okay? I mean, I don't think Waterloo, UBC, UCB, UCSB is a very good college, okay? But you're smart, and you're smarter than your other UCSB, UBC, U of T, UT, Waterloo people, okay? All the second rung schools, which are terrific schools and better than my school, okay? UIUC, sounds like a community college. But guess what? The thing that matters is distribution along with a semi-tech degree. Because if you're rolling into DEI stuff and then denying mentors, what the F? Denying mentors is the PhD maneuver of, I'm gonna write a PhD paper, but I'm not gonna cite and source your PhD work or your mentorship, because not citing and sourcing is the intellectual person's way to start in the middle part of the bell curve, where you're trying to get a PhD to get a doctor behind your name, so that way people acknowledge you as smart versus a smart dude testing to see if you're smart. Be smart and let's focus, losing focus, you, us, back to being focused, distribution. I'm not gonna then now say Sam Altman asked the question on September 14, 2015. Who is going to teach distribution? Stanford Engineering. Hashtag CS183D. CS183 regular, the Peter Thiel class, zero mention of distribution. He used to be a partner at YC, and how many Tuesday night dinners has he spoken at, right? At least 3. And do you really get anything that boosts shareholder equity after a dinner? No, you just come out, you just leave that dinner saying, wow, that Peter Thiel guy, he's a smart guy. Well, Sam Altman, he followed up his friend, boyfriend, amore, bosom buddy, with CS183B, as in boy. There are some lectures on distribution, 8 and 11, but Sam Altman leads off CS183B in 2012, Stanford University, leads off with, you need to be James Bond. And never mentions James Bond again. And the reason that that's important is that's how YC mentors you to do distribution. Good job staying focused, because OMG, this is the value of this video. Chapter 6 of what they don't teach you at Harvard Business School is sales and selling and distribution. And so when you are your own, not mentor, but you are your own accomplice, because you need to be split dissociative. And the reason I hesitate and I had a brain temporary fart is the fact that when you're a student athlete, you're gonna have to do both ends of the spectrum. You're gonna do the completely disparate thing from biochemical engineering, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering on the one side of the spectrum to basket weaving on the other side. But you're not actually gonna be basket weaving, okay, as a major, or underwater basket weaving. You're gonna be doing a dumber major, okay? Football, basketball, or baseball. You're literally having to simultaneously hold 2 different thoughts in your head at the same time. And so by my bringing this up, you're gonna have to do both tech and sales and tech. And most people, they just wanna do the one thing and they wanna delegate distribution, which is what YC does still to this day. I thought when I wrote The Fifth Epiphany over at Harvard, I thought that that would just be doctrine pumped right into the veins of Y Combinator kids and then no longer experience bankruptcy. That's literally what I thought. I'm like, this is so obvious to me and everybody that's at my level of IQ in the 80s. So obvious, which is your company's going bankrupt because you're not bringing in enough money. versus words like epistemology or epinephrine or norepinephrine. Like, what? First of all, this is what they don't teach you at Y Combinator, is what they do teach you at Stanford. Stanford kids don't lead off with the phrase, I'm Stanford University, class of 2021. They just don't say that. Guess what Stanford kids say after they get a master's degree? Guess what they say? Oh, yeah, I went to school in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's it. They're not like, hey, I'm rocking a coterminous master's that I got within 4 years over at Stanford Engineering or Stanford Econ, LOL, or Stanford anything. They're not saying that because that doesn't help. How many times within Y Combinator sales call do you say, hi, I'm from some company with no vowels or some company that's like a YC company? You guys know the people that make fun of those names. I'm from this company. Has nothing to do with what they do. It just sounds like $1 billion company. Hi, I'm from this company. Oh, you've never heard of us? Well, we're a Y Combinator company. And people are like, why are you explaining to me as a person I don't know with a company that sounds ludicrous that I would never hire, telling me about an incubator? Like, you're a baby incubator? What? You're an accelerator? Oh, like a particle accelerator? I've heard of those. Like, you're explaining and trying to get sales distribution, you're trying to close a deal by saying, oh, well, I'm Larry Chang's mentee. That actually would go better for you. Because people would be like, oh, Larry Chang. He sounds like an ABC. And every ABC, American-born Chinese person I've ever met has been pretty darn good at tech sales. So yeah, keep going. I've kind of heard of Larry Chang. In fact, for your next sales call, this is what they don't teach you at Y Combinator. Don't say, hey, I'm a YC portfolio company, spring 2016, and then YCS16. What? Nobody knows what YCS16 is, okay? Get that off your bio. Unless you're gonna just put Vagina Whisperer on your bio, in which case, touche. You can have your 9-figure exit and then pretend like we don't know each other. Get your low 9-figure dollar exit where you pocket some single-digit million number of dollars, #loser, and then pretend like I never mentored you. I don't care. So then you bring into the distribution conversation, hey, I have this company, I'm hunting problems, Larry Chang is my mentor, can we schedule a 7-minute phone conversation? This is why YC won't teach any of this stuff on sales and distribution. Because Jessica Livingston has this book, it's called Founders Who Work. I almost said Founders Who Sell. Founders Who Work. It's actually a great book, and she wrote it before she was publicly outing herself as the co-founder of Y Combinator. Let me repeat that, Founders Who Work. She actually talks about sales and selling being incredibly important. Was that ever stressed? Heck no, because there was pushback. People will cry when you get them and force them to sell. They will literally cry. It's so hard, and people just won't respect my UIUC engineering degree and all my engineering accolades, the Elmendorf Award, the Silver Award. Silver, not like gold and silver. Silver like, I think a Jewish Jew who bought an award and then that award was then bequeathed to me. Oh, they just don't respect my awards. You know who also didn't get a lot of respect? You know who also didn't get a lot of respect? Tom Brady. Nobody respected him because he didn't go to an Ivy, okay? I don't care if you think Michigan is the Harvard of the Michigan, Big East, Big Ten. Like, I hate hearing that. How many times at YC do you hear, oh, I went to the MIT of mother scratching China? Nobody cares, okay? You know where smart people in China go? That's the MIT, the one in Massachusetts, okay? We don't go to the blah, blah, blah of blah, blah, blah. Just like you guys are pitching, oh, we're the Uber for NFL quarterbacks. What? I don't even get it. What? Like, I get it, because I'm the solo founder of the Uber API, hashtag non-employee co-founder. That's another thing they don't teach you. We'll put a pin in that one. We'll come back to it. Let's hone in on distribution. So in Jessica Livingston's book, Founders at Work, she talks about Bill and other people at YC classes pre-2011 learning how to pretend to be old so that way they can get telephone calls to do sales and execute sales. Bill Clerico. And being able to pay up contracts and agreements via pretending to be a seasoned executive over the phone. Why is that not stressed? There should be a hashtag CS183 phone. How inside Y Combinator is that, where I had to take my little brain and then listen to Big Brains, Peter Thiel, Big Brain, PG, Big Brain, Jessica Livingston, Sam Altman, and then come up with hashtag CS183. Get it? It's the Peter Thiel class number that Peter Thiel forgot the class number for. CS183 phone. How do you talk on the phone? You definitely don't lead it off with, hi, I'm, insert your name, Tom Brady. I'm from the University of Michigan. I'm here to turn around your corporation. No. Well, maybe, but you definitely don't want to lead with, hi, my name is Vivek, and I went to the MIT of Canada, Waterloo, and I'm a YC 2024 spring class. What? You're starting with things that people are disconnected to, but if that call were recorded, boy, your YC classmates would be really, really impressed. What Y Combinator won't teach you: non-employee co-founder. Non-employee co-founder. It's sharing credit and maybe even mentoring mentors. Sharing credit outside of Y Combinator, I can understand if your small dick energy and small vagina energy won't merge and acquire and envelop and hold and hug a mentor from outside of YC. So forget about that. So just mention mentors inside of YC. And remember how motivated you were for, hey, how do I get into YC? You want to take all that networking and motivation and street smarts to not just use it to get into YC. You want to use those street smarts to get into your customer's bank account. You thought I was going to say pants. Don't do that. Well, maybe do that. Not financial advice. You hustled so hard to get into the Princeton University of incubators, okay? That's what YC is. It's the Princeton University of incubators. Now, I would go to Princeton if I were a crap baseball player and wanted to be a student athlete who pitched, who catched, who played short, and then batted third, and then on occasion would bat leadoff. if this is too inside baseball, okay, you guys, what they don't teach you at YC is you guys are too inside Y Combinator. I can tell within one sentence if you're a YC kid, okay? I can tell sometimes, you know those contests where you play a song and then you get hints for the song and then people say, oh, I can guess that song in 7 notes. Oh, well, I can guess that song in 1 note, and then you can't go lower than 1. Well, that's how Y Combinator alumni are, because they'll literally wear the orange little logo like they just got into Stanford University, and they got a Stanford shirt, they got a Stanford sweatshirt, they got a Stanford hat, and they got Stanford baseball shoes on at the networking party. And you can just see, oh, with all that Stanford shit that you've got on, are you a summer school backdoor person? You are. Who calls it? Because YC shows up trying to impress and signal to the other YC people. This is what you should be signaling. You should be retard whispering. What's retard whispering? It's a little bit like horse whispering or dog whispering, except you're trying to whisper to seasoned executives that are kind of old and have no clue what you're talking about if you even bring up anything IT related. Yeah, I said it. IT. Intellectual technocrats, okay? Which is what you guys are from IT support. Telling me about Harvard shit that I DGAF. I literally hear, well, not me, Larry Chang. I'm trying to be your customer. I hear Harvard stuff and I'm like, oh, that was like that one time I trusted my friend Barack Obama. Like, not gonna do that again. No more Harvard. This is also how vagina behaves with dating. Oh, I'm not gonna date another investment banker ever again. I'm not gonna date another McKinsey consultant ever again. I'm not gonna date a stud athlete who's 6'3", 6'4", depending on how much he does yoga ever again. That's you guys. Right on cue is from retard whispering is non-employee co-founder. So what they don't teach at Y Combinator is to get a non-employee co-founder who's actually retarded. And I'm not talking about the retarded the way that you guys go to a really good school and then make shit ass stupid mistakes and then go bankrupt. I'm not talking about that kind of retard. I'm talking about the retard of you're talking to a rich old dude and he says stuff that is so simpleton and you don't respect it. I'll give you an example. Early bird gets the worm. And you're like, what? Yeah, that's true. Are you going to talk about some morning routine? Morning routine? Breakfast is the most important work you'll do all day. Oh my God, that was a Freudian slip. Breakfast is the most important meal to eat for 3 hours when you're at a work conference. And yeah, the way I said it, it sounds like it's a retarded person saying genius things, but me, I can't help it, okay? Because the retarded guy would be like, oh, meet me at breakfast at 7:15. What? Is that a fuck you meeting slot? Like 12:50 for breakfast? Or sorry, 12:50 for lunch? 12:50, 50 minutes after noon for lunch is actually a genius time. The FU time is 1:50, 10 minutes before 2. That's not a lunch. That's a third lunch. Executives, first lunch, 11:30. 11:30, you think he's gonna stay from 11:30 to 12:30. He brings a +1, sits for 10 minutes, introduces you to his retard focuser, okay, and then leaves, pays the bill, leaves, and you're like, is this how executives do lunch? I thought I was getting a lunch with the VIP CEO, VVIP CEO. Yeah, no, okay? Not gonna stay that whole lunch. Let's go back to what they don't teach you at Y Combinator about eating breakfast. At a conference, you don't network with your mother scratching co-founder from 10:30 until 9 at night, okay? When I see that, I'm like, YC retard. This is when you eat breakfast. This is how you network at a conference. You don't just go to everything together, okay? Like two dudes who look like brothers, who look like they're not related brothers. They look like two peas in a pod that met in grad school, now are starting a company. Like, I want to avoid that, okay? Like the plague. Because I know what that is. That's IT coming to do IT support when I don't need IT. Indiana Technology. Oh my God, non-employee co-founder eating breakfast. So the way you eat breakfast is from 5:45 a.m., 10 minutes before the breakfast opens, until about 8:45, 9:30. Usually the conference sessions start at 9:15, maybe as early as 9 if they're aggressive. A lot of times it's 9:30. You eat breakfast from 5:45, 5:50 until 9:20 if the sessions start at 9:30. If the sessions start at 9:30, around 7:40, this is all shiitake that YC won't teach you about getting rich at a work conference. I'm not talking about a work conference like TechCrunch Disrupt or some crap Silicon Valley circle jerk, which I'm the co-founder of, okay? Go to those. Pay full ticket price to go to those, but also go to the one in Central Illinois in Chicago, where it's at the Chicago O'Hare Hyatt Hilton, and it's a conference on machinists that are integrating software as it relates to API rollups. That's the topic that you get to participate on. You eat breakfast. Why? Because people will be at breakfast. They're gonna wear their little lanyard, okay? You get those lanyards, and then a name badge. People will give you a deal if you're under 28 years old and have a heartbeat, showing up to eat breakfast. You can just, maybe you don't drink coffee, okay? That's probably good that you don't drink coffee. You get a coffee mug, you put some hot water in it, or cold water if you're a white person, okay? You put cold water in a coffee mug, and then you drink it, you just sippy cup it, okay? And then you look like you're drinking coffee, and then go talk to everybody who goes to that conference and say, hey, I'm Larry Chang. I've got an innovation within FinTech. We do third-party data verification. Do you guys have a need? That's a shitty pitch, okay? A great pitch is, hey, good morning. Are you enjoying conference? Oh, I see your steel cut oatmeal. Good job, buddy. Good job. I need to hit that, right? Because what you're doing is you're being the seasoned executive retard whisperer, okay? You're not just hitting them in the face with, hey, I'm a thought leader within FinTech, because we actually, within financial literacy in FinTech, we ace two things, the tech and the finance. No, you're not gonna hit that right away. That's like asking a girl, actually, let's not have dating analogies because it goes off the rails. You compliment on the prep of their preparation. That's it. You're looking for how executives prep to go to breakfast because they've got to prep. Maybe they have a water bottle, okay, that's ginormous. Maybe they have not the conference tote that they gave for free. Maybe they have fruit piled away. Why am I spending so much time on breakfast? Like, oh, I don't need to go do breakfast. Yeah, you do. And these details at breakfast, these details would matter to you if you're trying to get rich at a conference, because you're not just trying to sell worthless stock to YC, VC, schlep rocks that are trying to front run Sequoia. So if you do this video super well and you're in YC, I will literally advocate for you by texting and calling the most important VC in Silicon Valley, which is also what they don't teach you at YC, which is sell stock to Sequoia via Larry Chang. So at breakfast, whatever they're doing, if they're stockpiling away and squirreling away a banana for later, be like, good job on squirreling away a banana. And people will be like, what are you talking to me for? They actually won't. People who are executives on the road, super lonely, okay? This is their 130th night in a freaking Bonvoy, and it's no longer an SPG, so their life is literally in hell. Bonvoy, Marriott sucks. Starwood preferred guest, hotel, amazing. So, you're at breakfast and you're getting ready to close a deal. How? By solving the fact that Bonvoy sucks. And so you, at a conference, you order 3 cases of Evian water, and you give 2 bottles. You give 2 bottles to the executive that you meet at breakfast. Why are these things important? Because you're trying to charm, woo, and corral executives into paying attention on your rando company, Duck 9, because nobody cares about 5 components of Duck 9. They don't care about the deep, they don't care about the underground, they don't care about the credit, and they don't care about the tech knowledge or tech competence of API integration as it relates to third-party data verification, as it relates to 3D or 2D modeling of credit scoring systems. They just don't care. They only care if they see that you're able to wake up before 9 a.m. for a conference that cost $13,000 for 4 people to go to. True story. You're gonna pay 5 figures and then no one's gonna even wake up before 10? Are you kidding me? That's every YC company I've ever seen at a conference. Lazy and completely avoiding page 137 of Cross the Chasm. Oh, have you even read? That's also what they don't teach you at Y Combinator, is read 5 books to avoid bankruptcy. Jeffrey Moore, Crossing the Chasm. You can't just book recommend a book to pretend like you read the book. How many times does YC do that? Oh yeah, Peter's got a really good book on going 0 to 1. 1, it's a horrible book. 2, did you even read it before you recommended it? 5 books. Jeffrey Moore, Cross the Chasm. Book 2. Eric Ries, Lean Startup. Book 3. Alexander Ostrander, Business Model Generation. I can't tell you how many times YC kids say business model, business model, business model. They've never read the book. It's like playing in engineering and not knowing mother scratching calculus. Like, they actually have programs now that are DEI for doctors who don't know biology or STEM stuff. They literally have that. The bar is so low. Book 4 is Stephen Blank, 4 Steps to the Epiphany. Book 5, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. So page 126, chapter 5, Crossing the Chasm, is how to work a trade show or a conference. Oh, the co-founders, we're not going to go. We're just going to send people who do biz dev to go. No, 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 no. When you fire your second VP of sales, guess who else gets fired? A co-founder. This is why you want a non-employee co-founder. Put a pin in that because I'm dovetailing Genius Shiitake together for your lowly EQ YC brain. Steve Blank, startup death spiral. That's a real thing. They actually kind of did teach you that at Stanford Engineering, which is basically YC. YC and Stanford both have a hole, which is distribution. Like both institutions of Silicon Valley have a hole. It's distribution. Steve Blank actually talks about startup death spiral. What is startup death spiral? It's where 2, 3, or 4 of the co-founders decide none of us are going to do distribution, and one of us is going to work half time doing it, but we're just going to wait for funding to hire a VP of sales. No, 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 no. 4 co-founders, all of us work in tech, all of us work in sales. That's the way, the optimal way, which is, I thought, part and parcel when we innovated within Engineering 145, which precursed Peter Thiel's CS 183 by a decade. I didn't start that class, okay? Randy Komisar and Tommy Byers started that Shiitake actually in the 90s. Why won't you just focus on that class? Oh, well, Larry was involved in that and Larry understands that class better than we do, so we can't do it because we hate that guy for parking cars at 310 Pioneer and then making food at his valet stand. Yeah, Interior Door, the company next door, I parked cars for VCs and VIPs, and then I made food because I bought out that parking lot. Cool, right? That's also what they don't teach you at Y Combinator, which is external API. We're racking up these topics. Let's focus on VP sales, startup death spiral. Grab a pen, bit.ly/S blank 710. S is in Steve, blank is in Professor Blank, 710. bit.ly/S blank 710. 710. 711 minus 1. Startup death spiral is where you and your co-founder decide to let somebody else do sales and selling. What happens then? Nothing good, because your VP of sales goes out into the marketplace and then they're not technical, which is horrendous because tech sales is also the reason that there are not enough female VCs, because there's not enough females in tech sales, which is basically what being a VC is you're selling stock that's technical and temporarily worthless. So if you're gonna be pumping and dumping, you better at least have some technical chops and then be really, really, really good at biz dev and sales. 2 co-founders, 1 VP of sales. Your VP of sales goes out, talks to customers, and then the customer's gonna say, yeah, I'm interested, but I'd only be interested if you tweaked your thing to solve my exact problem. Can you do that? And that's where the company begins to go bankrupt, because you're disconnecting the problem solver to the problem, because now you're doing this rumor mill, which is the VP of sales with barely an engineering degree and not super technical is now trying to tell the technical people, hey, this is what my customer wants. Will you build it? No, no. You park the 2 engineers on the premises, okay? Peter Thiel stole it right from Mark McCormack, where you park 2 engineers who are solving a problem by calling the tech sales team the forward deployed engineer. Why won't you focus on Peter Thiel teasing chapter 6 of our mentor, me and Peter's mentor, Mark McCormack? Why? You could, you won't. Why? Because the forward deployed engineer, that's tech sales, where you're doing sales and customer services on the premises of your prospect. This is how Palantir started. Back on topic to non-employee co-founder. Peter Thiel is the non-employee co-founder of Palantir. Okay, he's not an employee co-founder, he's a non-employee co-founder. Being in the PayPal mafia, I recognized what became awesome, which is what YC still won't teach, where it's blasting you in the face intellectually. Kind of like this. Like, why is this retarded guy in a freaking cowboy hat, who's this stud athlete, why is he barking at YC people? Because it's hilarious. Non-employee co-founder, hashtag non-employee co-founder. You're welcome. Peter Thiel is the non-employee co-founder with Joe Lonsdale. And so Joe Lonsdale is the founder of Palantir. What does a non-employee co-founder do? Bids up the stock price before they buy stock. Boom! I even have Roelof Botha as the non-employee co-founder of Eventbrite. And that other Sequoia, maybe I'm drinking too much water. That other partner at Sequoia, Jessica, who's one of the only non-employee co-founders I've run into, probably because she's getting mentored by Roelof Botha. Non-employee co-founder, what we do, okay, since I am a non-employee co-founder of some like amazing shiitake, such as Uber and PayPal, which is this. We bid up the stock price, and then the stock becomes more valuable before we even get involved. If you're of scarcity mindset, you are throwing up inside your own brain. Maybe you're just hate watching this because you're like, I freaking hate that guy. Maybe this is some medicinal shiitake that you need to swallow along with your safety school, Harvard education. Non-employee is counterintuitive, and kind of like Keith Verboy and Larry Chang think that 80 to 90% of startup deaths can be avoided if we sidestepped Keith Verbois, Rabois. I can't remember which venture firm he's at because he's changing GPs like pretty often. We think unforced errors kill startups dead. If you just avoided the unforced errors, you would live and avoid bankruptcy. That's what they don't teach you at YC. And so what's hard about avoiding bankruptcy? The epistemology of knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know. And yeah, I just heard and learned that word, but I've always kind of known that word, and I've always kind of skipped it because of this reason. You don't want to use super complicated words when you're working inside of entrepreneurship. You just want to do kind of super simple stuff. Non-employee co-founder does the counterintuitive truth, which is raises your stock price before the money goes in. And maybe the money never goes in, but it doesn't matter because now the stock price is higher. Let me give you an example of that. Luke Nosek, okay? Nosek, Luke Nosek. He went to Burning Man, of course, and with Barney Pell started PowerSet as a non-employee co-founder. And so PowerSet ends up getting sold and becoming the search engine for Bing to Microsoft. Luke helped Barney ratchet up the value of PowerSet before the Founders Fund money went in. For some reason, it's just PayPal alumni who love non-employee co-founder. For some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's our swag. Maybe it's our hubris, okay? Maybe it's our agelessness. Maybe it's our being an intellectual rolling out of the University of Illinois. Bow, 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 mother scratchers. Luke Nosek, also University of Illinois, he's the guy who encouraged me to hustle in Silicon Valley. What they don't teach you at Y Combinator is not generational networking, but nobody lists out counterintuitive things that are true that you need to adhere to. I can't address these things without hitting some incredibly well-read, well-thought-out pieces, essays from Paul Graham. Let's lead off with www.paulgraham.com/ds.htm. Oh, to finish up the Steve Blank Startup Death Spiral, it's bit.ly s-blank710, bit.ly s-blank711, bit.ly s-blank712, bit.ly s-blank713, bit.ly s-blank714. That's my PhD thesis on practicing on a cadaver and avoiding bankruptcy and ducking charge-offs. So Duck9, that's real, and I memorized 5 bit.ly links that they don't stress enough and ever teach at Y Combinator, which is Startup Death Spiral. Every YC company that dies adheres to the principles of Startup Death Spiral. You'd think that with my loud voice, clearly defensible Hail Marys that I'm throwing that are like basically a screen pass, and if you hate sports analogies, I hate YC inside lingo. So if it's too inside baseball, it's also not enough inside YC, because all those YC bankruptcies, aka assignment for benefit of creditors, because you guys are gonna go to HBS, GSB after YC, because YC is the most interesting thing you'll ever do in your life. bit.ly s-blank710. Back on topic to paulgraham.com/ds.htm. D as in doing, S as in scale. Do Things That Don't Scale is an essay that teases the distribution, which is why I finished Paul Graham's essay for Doing Things That Don't Scale But Have Momentum. At the heart of Y Combinator, YC startups take off because the founders make them take off. When I did things at Stanford, they just took off on their own. Not because I made them take off, but because I wanted to honor my mentor, Mark McCormack. I'm not going to call him a retard because he's a genius, but a lot of people thought that he was not smart by giving him 2.5 stars out of 5. The Business Bible. People literally gave him 2.5 stars out of 5, or at least that was the average. Do things that don't scale but have momentum. it's dealing with customers, it's customer contact, it's customer development, it's prospects before customers. If all those words offend you or make you not happy because you're gonna have to address being the retard whisperer, I'm really sorry that you didn't go to your Reach College, Stanford University, and then forgive every other person for being less smart than you. There, I said it. Because your intellectual IT chip on your shoulder is keeping you from money. And I understand this because I have a giant athletic chip on my shoulder where I didn't want less athletically talented genius thought leaders tell me advice. How real is that? Because if you had gone to Stanford, and don't think that I'm kissing Stanford butt because I'm about to kick your guys' butt super hard, you guys being Stanford, is if you go to Stanford, you want to water it down with not fully going at people with all 130 points of your IQ. Doing things that don't scale but have momentum. That's the rewritten article. Because people, they can't do the thing and then think, am I gonna have to do this for the rest of my life? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me this isn't the most useful YC video you've ever seen, replete with 7 URL quotations specifically, 1 cup of water, and 2 burps, right? Do things that don't scale, but have momentum. Let me repeat that because you still haven't written it down. Hashtag DTTDSBHM. Is that as horrendous of an acronym as EUTWM Yes. Is that as useful as engineering up a tidal wave momentum perpetual promotion machine, along with the hashtag HTMMWYMM? How to make money while you make money. Because you don't want to spend your VC money on trying to get your first batch of customers. You don't want to ask a VC, hey, give me money so I can scale customers. You want to be making money while you're making money. HTMMWYMM, which is hashtag DTTDSBHM. What they don't teach you at YC is calling these entrepreneurship plays in your board meetings. Your board meetings are limited to under 6 hours because your board members can't pay attention, and who has a board meeting for 19 hours, okay? Who has a board meeting for 19 days? We do. How do we do it? By doing something that's 5D chess explained. What they don't teach you at YC is 5-dimensional chess. What? Well, guess what? All chess is 4-dimensional. Like, you could play regular 3D chess plus time, but you're allocating your time shittily, so now you're playing 4D chess, you're just not winning. 5D chess is being able to go forward and back in time, and we're going to go back in time to hashtag DTTDSBHM. Do things that don't scale but have momentum. Because when you're doing these things that don't scale to try to get your company off of zero, now you're able to have unseen momentum because you're DJing in APIs. Hashtag, get my hashtag assistant here. Not Chris Messina, the founder of the API, not Chris Saad, the person who took over the Uber API almost 2 years after I started it. hashtag external API. Hashtag external API, which is what Tom Brady used to do the Hertz rental car company turnaround by doing the API into Tesla. Tesla can't block you from buying Teslas and then renting them out as Hertz. So Hertz is getting paid for people to pay them to test drive a Tesla for 4 days. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So doing things that don't scale but have momentum, where initially you're going to have to provide customer service as the CEO, listening for user feedback, because the customer, they're going to tell you some completely retarded things because they're not the experts within fintech, even though they're running a Fortune 100 company, because they're not complete on all the Replit product launches and product hunt rollouts, and they're not doing any of that stuff. In fact, if they had to go back to Stanford University, where they are CEO and they graduated from, it would take them 10 years to get a 4-year degree now, because shit got complicated and shit got harder. Like, I can't tell you how many Stanford alums I meet in the 90s, and I think to myself, it would take you 17 years to get an undergrad degree in engineering now, because your brain's broken. And don't even get me started about finance and accounting people or econ majors. Like, it would take them 10 years to even go to freaking Waterloo or UBC. Like, it's massively different. But the moat of how to transfer money from their pocket into our pocket, there's a moat. This is what they don't teach you at YC. Doing things that don't scale but have momentum. Hashtag DTTDSBHM. This is how to make a board meeting actually be 19 days inside of 4 hours. So you're compressing 19 days of powwows into a meeting that's less than 5 hours, including a meal. That's also a football huddle. You have under a minute to go from play to play. So in that huddle, you're going to need to have about an hour's worth of meetings in under a minute. That's why the quarterback or the CEO of the huddle talks about things in code. What every member of the football staff team on the field needs to do. So you're doing a 1 hour meeting in less than a minute. That's also a board meeting that's 19 days of content in under 5 hours. That's the utilization of play call plays such as DTTDS BHM, such as LCRRM, Larry Chang reverse rebate model, that I got from the Mark McCormack reverse rebate model. So let's bring all these things together for what they don't teach you at YC. So there's an upcoming conference that is a film festival, and you have film editing software because you're a YC company hoping to be $1 billion getting acquired by a studio. Brady, you're such a good dog. So you're going to, number one, you're going to engineer up a tidal wave of momentum perpetual promotion machine as you sell tickets to a networking event that is unofficial using LCRRM, and you're going to use the sales methodology called Guacamole, recipe number 11, 4, and 23. Where did I get these recipes and play calls from? This is all shiitake that they don't teach you at Y Combinator, which is I got them from a 1983 book, and instead of saying this is recipe number 23 out of a 1983 book, I went ahead and called all of his 1983 Mark McCormack recipes Guacamole. Because if I told you these recipes came from 83, you'd be like, wow, 1983 is forever ago. Do you have something more fresh? No. This is the best stuff, which is why I've got recipes 1 through 24. And that's our ability to play call plays